Have you bought into the myth about team coaching? Let's find out. Hello and welcome to the Team Coaching Lounge, where leaders and coaches connect and have casual conversations about team coaching and other team topics.
Hello, I'm Susan.
And I'm Claudia.
And we are both accredited team coaches that often work together as co-coaches with corporate teams. So sit back, relax, and join us for today's conversation.
Yes, there's quite a few myths floating around there about team coaching. Let's see what your experience was with that.
Yeah, that was definitely one that is a challenge to overcome, which is we'll get into it. But I was talking to the senior director of a humanitarian nonprofit organization about a team coaching program that we were actually going to offer as an opportunity to get pro bono. And he decided not to take us up on the offer because his team was performing just fine. So he actually did buy into all the different myths about team coaching floating around out there on the ethers.
Yeah. Well, actually, of course, a team that really does well might not really need team coaching, right? I mean, they might just be at their optimal already because there's team like that, people.
Yes.
But after we probed a little bit deeper, it was just a ready-made excuse that he
Mhm.
offered because he had bought into some underlying myth, and actually quite a smorgasbord of myth that he cited after we asked about it a little bit more pertinently.
Yeah.
And the first one was the belief that indeed team coaching is only for underperforming teams, meaning it is a remedial measure. There
Yes.
needs to be something to fix.
Fix. Yep.
But it's not really the case. Just like individual coaching can help an individual to go from good to great to extraordinary, it's the same with teams. You might
Yes.
already have a good team. Allow team coaching to make it great or even extraordinary.
It's
So,
really about like maximizing their potential as a team.
right, right. And, at the very least, find out if they're at the maximum contribution level, the maximum value creation, if they are at the stage of maximum performance, or if that's just something that they believe.
Right. And given all the recent layoffs, especially in the tech world, many teams are having to do more with less. So you really want to maximize the potential of the team. It's not that you're doing poorly, you just need to get as much out of your team as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And future proof them as well.
Yep.
Because, a lot has to do with resilience, with a team mindset, and, times are challenging. It's
Yes.
Teams are dealing with very complex, fast changing VUCA,
Okay, yes.
problems. It's good to have clarity and alignment on the core of the team for sure.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest myth out there, but there's many more.
Yeah, because I think this ties really well into another myth that some folks think that team coaching is this quick fix kind of thing.
Yeah. And a
And so
one-time thing.
a one-time quick fix kind of thing, which stands opposite the enormity of the challenges that teams face nowadays. And so we don't even need to talk about it. It's not a one-time quick fix. It wouldn't work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. The next one is it's a one size fits all. Like there's a process that every team coach goes through, and that's going to fix your team. That is absolutely not true. And if you've listened to our other discussions in Team Coaching Lounge, you know it's a very kind of bespoke model of we get in, we understand, and then we work with the team to create the coaching program. So it is not one size fits all. It depends on what the team needs and where they're at in their growth mindset. So there's a lot of variables there. So it's not a let's go in, do XYZ, and we're done.
Because imagine if you have a one size fits all program, then it's based on average. And I have yet
Yes.
to meet the average team. It doesn't exist. Okay. So truly tailor-made, flexible approaches are must. And I believe all team coaches I know would agree with that. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You want to jump into the next one?
Because the next thing that this director was struggling with is that he thought that or he had come across this information that team coaching was for large teams or technical teams. It's for agile software development teams and things like that. And
Right.
he did not see how his um, granted smaller leadership team of this humanitarian nonprofit could benefit from it.
Yep, definitely. It can work for all types of teams. I mean, I've talked with very small teams, nonprofits who do, disaster rescues or search and rescue, right? And they still have to function as a team. So it doesn't matter what they do as a team.
Right.
It's how they perform as a team. Yeah.
And granted, there's again, instead of a year-long program, it might be a 3 months old long program.
Yep.
So there's flexibility in the scope of the team coaching engagement, and the price gets affected by that, of course, as well. But it's truly, if you're a team, if you have this shared goals and interdependencies, if you want to create value as a group, as a cohesive kind of team, then team coaching is most likely for you. And incidentally,
Right.
that is another myth, and we touched on that in our team or not team quiz kind
Yep.
of. Not every team needs to be a team on paper. Frankly, as team coaches, we don't care what your org chart looks like.
Looks. Yep.
If you have a sub team or a team of teams that need to function together, we can address that.
Yeah, a good example of that is in a lot of corporations, they come up with a tiger team, right? A group of people from different teams on an org chart, they pull them all together to address one issue or develop a certain product for that period of time. We can definitely come in and help bring that cohesiveness together for this makeshift team. So yes, again, they don't have to be on an org chart and all reporting to the same person.
Exactly. And then, even though this particular senior director, that was not his main concern, because we offered it as a pro bono thing for this nonprofit that we
Right.
felt strongly about, from a moral and giving back kind of position.
Mhm.
I think that another myth that bears mentioning is that people say it's too expensive. It's too expensive. And my comeback to that is, compared to what?
Compared to what? And look at what you're look at what you're losing or not taking advantage of with your team. How much more productive they can be.
Productive, how much more your team could gel and get
Mhm.
along, how much you could have a better work environment, your people dealing less with burnout or overwhelm or stress related to an incohesive team.
Mhm.
Again, value creation. Just imagine what happens if your team is not aligned in how they communicate with very key stakeholders, for instance. If
Yeah.
the narrative is unclear or whatever, there's sometimes a lot at stake. That's why you have the team in the first place. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
wouldn't exist. And so, it's not because you do team coaching because there's an ROI associated with it.
Yeah.
You don't do it, out of, just because it's there. You do it because the end product, the end state of your team is
Yeah.
going to be markedly better than it was at the beginning. And
Yeah.
so
And there's a lot of talk around the number of hours that employees are really just staring at their computer but not doing work because they're not engaged. So they're on the clock, but they're not really producing because they're just not engaged. And so if you look at the cost of what that is, and if you bring in team coaching to get the team engaged, your output is going to be exponential at that point.
I once ran the numbers, just a fictitious kind of a scenario based on the Gallup research numbers that said, okay, like I think 16 or 17% of people are actively disengaged. A large
Yeah.
chunk, I think over 70% of the whole thing are disengaged, and only like 20 something percent are actually doing the work and feel kind of slightly passionate about their work. And so I did this, and in a team of 10, that disengagement costs you one person.
Yeah.
One whole person and their salary and their benefits that you have to
Benefits,
pay, of
which
course.
is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So, and what does it do to come into a workplace where your colleagues are disengaged?
Yeah.
uh, it's just it can spiral out because negative corporate culture begets negative corporate culture. And
Yeah.
so turning stuff like that around, there's a lot of benefits to looking at that. So expensive compared to what?
What? Yes. Look at what you're losing right now. Even though you're performing just fine.
Going just fine. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so, okay, those were a couple of the myths that we run into quite a lot. Do you buy into them? Do you have some others you have heard that are kind of like not sure about? If so, put it in the comments and we will get back to you, or at least respond in the comments about them. And otherwise, if you
Do you have questions or want to join us in the team coaching lounge? Please reach out to either of us and
yeah.
we would welcome you.
Yes, yes. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and
Yes.
otherwise engage with us. We would really appreciate your support. And that's it for
Thank
today.
you.
I hope you enjoyed that. It was a pleasure for us. And
Yes.
Susan, good job.
Good
Bye.
job. We'll see you next time. Bye.